was yesterday. I was up here and my knees were knocking and I was holding my hands, wringing my hands just to keep from shaking, and I was, I had my stomach was in knots and my chest was beating. I feared that my heart was pounding so loud that it was going to wait out the sound of my voice when I stood up here to speak. But here we are, close to a year later. And I think a lot of us have had, who's had an experience like this? Where you stood up in front of the room, right? All of the members have had this experience. And yet we keep coming back in the face of the terror of it all. And I don't know what your reasons are for coming back, but for me, this group has been immensely impactful in my life. And for those of you who don't know me, I am not a morning person. So to get up and to be here by 8:30 in the morning on a Saturday morning, no less, is a huge feat. And yet, it is the highlight of my week. I rarely miss a meeting. And so I want to highlight for all of you some of the magic moments over the past year, the reasons why I get up and I keep coming. And the first one is I want to highlight a speech by our very own Diane Frierson, who's not here. But I have heard this speech countless times because she's gone on to speech contests, she's continued to give this speech, and it is her speech about online dating, where she shares with us about the person she met online, Sexy Diva 461, who claimed to look like Janet Jackson with long, flowing hair. Well, Diane, against the best advice of her best friend, flew out to meet Sexy Diva without seeing any pictures of this woman. And when she showed up at the airport, she met Rasputia with big, flaming Cirque du Soleil performance going on top of her hair. I think it was shortly after that Diane got to get a few pointers from Irma. Irma gave an amazing speech about dating that I will never forget. Irma, I can't wait to hear more of your speeches. This speech was entirely entertaining. It was absolutely hilarious. And it was so polished. It was one of the best speeches of the year that we had. Yes, I was very impressed. And then there was Cynthia, who told the story about her pregnancy. This was a speech that one day when we got ousted from our room here and we had to meet down in the lower building, fortunately it wasn't the day when the lights were out and we had to hold our meeting by flashlight. This was another meeting down in the other building. And Cynthia talked about how she was pregnant with her little beach ball belly, was anticipating having her baby 2 weeks early. And so she was happy, getting ready to have her baby. And then time went on, and the baby didn't come, and the baby didn't come, and the baby didn't come, until finally Cynthia was laid up like a beached whale before she finally gave birth to her son. We have had other speeches that have enlightened us about the ways of women. One of them was actually by a man. Our talented James Allen Hanrahan has been coaching us on yin-yang energy, masculine and feminine energy, and he had all the women in the room gritting through their teeth. The aspects of feminine energy: powerless, pathetic, patient. And while the men got to be courageous and competitive and confident. Yes, I said yes. Wonderful. And then there was the off-the-cuff speech that Everett did. Everett had prepared the night before and realized at about 4 in the morning that there was actually a theme to the meeting, and that his speech didn't fit that theme. And so Everett came in here and off the cuff gave one of the most spectacular speeches of the year. He really was a model for speaking on the fly. That was actually he was doing a model speech for our speech contest, which Diane Frierson and our own Michael Matry went on to the area competition and served us well. And for those who haven't been to the area, the division, the district competitions, those are some of the highlights. There's been a lot of camaraderie that we've built when we go to these competitions and we all sit together and we compete with our big competing other Agape or other Toastmasters Club praise masters for who can cheer the loudest for our people. And we typically walk away with wonderful awards. awards, and so those have been a highlight, building that camaraderie at the speech contest. We actually had the best speech contest of the year was actually our very own Sherry Zempelli and Cynthia Lamb actually were the MCs of the event. It was the I Love Lucy theme, and Sherry and Cynthia came out as Lucy and Ethel. It was wildly entertaining. We had the whole entire district rolling, and so it was really a proud moment for us at Agape Toastmasters. Yeah. And then we had our summer picnic, which was another fabulous event. Sherry brought the music, so we were out there jamming in the hula hoops. We were hula-ing. And Michael Maitrey brought his beautiful wife, her lay, which we always love having at our events. And Margaret, although it was a potluck and a lot of people brought food, Margaret had the most amazing dishes that she made from her garden. She was able to show off her dishes and her wonderful gardening. And then what would our Toastmasters be without our table topics? I have some favorite table topics moment. One of my very first meetings at Agape Toastmasters, Sherry had us doing table topics, and most of them were without words. So we had to pantomime, and we had to act out. I think I had to transform from a puppy dog to an old man. And I remember John getting down on the floor and pretending like he was a bumper car, running into the chairs. Crazy times that we've had at Agape Toastmasters. There was a time that Michael Maitrey put questions in a box, and we had to pull these questions out. I don't remember exactly what the theme is. It was a rather racy theme. And there was a question there I'll never forget. Kara pulled out this theme, and you could just tell by the reddening color. Before she even said what the question was. Something about the details of your sex life. Right. And then there was Sherman. Oh, sure. Sherman loved to corral us with his political questions about things most of us had no clue about, or give our opinions on political leaders that none of us knew who they were. And it was our very own Mary Jones, who for the longest time had us all fooled that she was the timid one in the group. She was the one that stood up to Sherman one day when he asked her this question. She told Sherman what table topics were supposed to be. Beyond the humor, though, we've also had some really tender moments in our table topics. And I think that the table topics that have really stolen the show have been the ones where people have gotten really real, and they've allowed themselves to be vulnerable and tell their stories. And I do remember several moments here where members of Agape Toastmasters, while they're doing their 1 to 2 minute table topic on the spot, have actually had tears in their eyes as they've been telling their personal stories. And I remember Marion, you had given a speech like this, and Bill, I was really touched by a table topic you did recently. And Victoria, I know that you've had a few as well. So those have really been the ones where people have opened up and let us into their lives. And then, of course, where would we be without Michael Maitrey's impersonation, which you'll have to see a little bit of today. And I just have to say, if you ever see Michael Maitrey turn around and flip his hat backwards, watch out. All right, so this is my final Competent Communicator speech, and I'm standing up here, and I have to tell you, I'm still shaking. My stomach's still in knots. My heart's still pounding like crazy. None of that has gone away. And yet, it has gotten easier to keep getting up here and giving my speeches because this is such an amazingly supportive environment. And that's something that I'm extremely grateful for. I do think one person that models that the best for me has been Kara. Because I always, when I'm up here on the stage, in the spotlight, Kara is always making eye contact. She always is smiling, she's nodding, she's encouraging. When I get stuck, when I forget what I'm about to say, when I have one of those oh shit moments on the stage, I typically find myself looking to Kara. Because I know there's going to be support there. And it reminds me about leaders and what leadership truly is. And I think think oftentimes the leader's not necessarily the one standing on the stage, but is somebody who can lead from the back of the room. And isn't that why we're all here? To develop our leadership skills. Someone who's been an inspirational leader to me, Tony Robbins, has said, leaders are the ones who show up when everyone else is afraid. Because you see, it's not just that leaders are fearless, it's that they're willing to stand in the face of their fears. They don't necessarily show up when they're ready, they show up when they're needed. They have a philosophy that if not me, then who? And so I'd like for you to all think for a moment about something in your life that you desire to do, but you may be afraid to do. Or you don't feel like you're quite ready. Like maybe your speech number 4, Kara. And I want to invite you to step into and take action on that thing that you're afraid of, or the thing that you feel like you're not quite ready to do, and do it before you're ready. Because it's at the outer limits of our comfort zone where we actually get to discover ourselves. And it's at the outer limits of our comfort zone where we get to define who we truly are. So who are you going to be in 2020?